Hi, Tashi Delek. This is Drukmo Gyal from northeastern part of Tibet. I'm truly grateful that the Golden Drums is creating this cyberspace for us to meet, and I'm here to offer you a brief introduction of traditional Tibetan medicine and Tibetan mantra healing. Before we dive into these traditions, I would like to discuss two terminologies that I'm assuming that we are familiar with. First one is mantra, and the second is tantra. In Sanskrit, man means mind, tan means body, tra means protection. Therefore, mantra is mind protection, whereas tantra means body protection. Then speaking of tantra, the fundamental text of traditional Tibetan medicine is called the Four Tantras, Jushi in Tibetan language, which means the 4 volumes of medical knowledge in order to protect our bodies. And this medical text is still widely used in Tibetan medical colleges all over Tibet nowadays. Anyone who intends to become a qualified Tibetan medical physician has to go through this study. And it was composed by Yutokyen Demgombo. The Tanka painting behind me is an image of him. He is known as the emanation of Medicine Buddha, the father of Tibetan medicine. If we summarize the content of the 4 tantras, then we can speak about the 5 healing methods this medical tradition offers. First is diet, second is lifestyle, third is medicine. Majority of the compound formulas are herbal based, but some can include animal body parts or minerals. Fourth one is external therapies, and the last is spiritual healing. So spiritual healing is kind of the part that adapted Tibetan Buddhist philosophy into Tibetan medical tradition. According to both traditions, all the diseases are caused by a primary and a secondary causes. If you're familiar with Tibetan Buddhist texts, then you must be familiar with the 3 inner poisons. They are ignorance, anger, and desire. They are considered as the primary causes to all diseases. And the secondary causes are seasonal changes, diet, lifestyle, and don, which means spirit attacks. So this so-called spirit attacks is can be understood from different facets. If you believe in the existence of spirits or non-human existence, then there you go. If you do not believe, then you can also understand it as the imbalance of the external elements. For example, natural disasters are one of those extreme manifestation of imbalanced elements. Flooding is an imbalance of water, like a volcano exploding is an imbalance of the fire element, and wind and tsunami together with water. So all these nature elements, when they're not in a balanced state, they can cause natural disasters, but those are more visible, more to another level. But here, the energy of those elements are also moving, and those are considered as something that can influence our physical body. When the element, when any of the element becomes aggressive, then those aggressiveness, the aggressive characteristics of those elements can become a demonic force, and those demonic force can attack our mental and physical health. So we entitle them as don, or spirit attacks. Those are the first primary and secondary causes to all diseases, according to both Tibetan Buddhist and Tibetan medical traditions. And in order to work with these three inner poisons, which are associated with how we react or how we build our connection with seasonal changes, diet, lifestyle, as well as the Dong spirits, then we need to work with the spiritual healing methods. We need to use our body, speech, and mind as three doors, and to always learn different ways to balance, keep them in balance. Therefore, mantra for healing purpose is presented. There are more than 100 of them. Some of them are for internal organs, some of them are for five central organs, some of them are for blessing the food and drinks, some of them are for preventing a fire in a wooden house, or preventing the living space to be flooded, to prevent from flooding. So these healing mantras are understood as psychiatrists or psychotherapists in the system, and it's always combined with the previous four medical methods, healing methods. Yeah, so the most commonly practiced healing mantra is the purification mantra of 5 elements, because both tradition, Tibetan mantra healing or Tibetan medicine, believes that the nature and our body are made from the same 5 elements. Therefore, when I talk about energy, I'm always talking about these 5 elements. They are space, water, earth, fire, and wind. And the characteristic of these 5 elements are the energy that we are referring to when we talk about Tibetan mantra healing. Certainly nothing abstract. If I give you an example to understand it as something concrete, not too abstract, then please consider the characteristic of wind. What does wind do in the nature? Wind is in continuous motion. It only exists in movement. So that's exactly what wind does inside our body. Fire has heat, and the heat is the characteristic of fire, and that's exactly what it does inside our body. So these different characteristics are addressed in Tibetan medical tradition. So when you study them, then you finally get a clue of how these elements are working in the nature, and through observing the nature with these outlines, you finally understand how your body in a holistic point of view is working, or is becoming balanced, or is becoming imbalanced. Then you at least have something to follow, and you can try to see which stage you are, which stage your mind, your speech, your bodies are, and you can work with that. Therefore, I do encourage you to read a bit more about traditional Tibetan medicine, especially the divisions of these elements. These 5 elements are categorized into 3 energies, or in medical terms they're translated as 3 humors. And these 3 humors are categorized into 2 natures, hot and cold. So I'm sure you have heard from different traditions, medical or non-medical traditions, when it comes to the topic of healing, this hot and cold, yin and yang is always there. You know, you are familiar with this, but it would be interesting to dive into where and how to identify these hot and cold. Once you master this, life is so much more fun in finding what to do with your diet, lifestyle, with anything you do in life becomes so meaningful and so profound, because once something worked on you, then that doesn't mean it's only worked on you. It means it can work on many people who are like you and in your similar conditions. And those are the universal, the interdependence underlay us, you know, like beneath us or invisible in between us. So I really hope that you enjoyed this short introduction, and if you're interested in getting to know more, I suggest you to read the Tibetan Book of Health by Dr.Nida Chenatsang. All the best to you, and see you soon. Ciao.
Ram Shude Shude